Hi everyone, my name is Katy, and thank you for joining me for another video. Today we are flipping through my entire 2023 reading journal. She is super chunky, so let's get started. 2023 was the first year I ever did a reading journal. It was the first year I had really learned about the concept of a reading journal, and immediately I knew that I wanted to try it out myself. I did end up using just an Artist Loft journal from Michaels, which retails at about $10 US. It was a great starter journal for me. I'm very happy with the quality and the price and everything. It did get very chunky and the cover curved, but overall, I think this was a great starter journal and definitely recommend it if you are looking for one of those. So starting off in the journal, I cut out the first couple of pages that were index pages because I wasn't going to use them and they bothered me being there. And then I just taped over that with washi tape. And then this is my first little cover page. Love this paper so much. I had no idea how many books I was going to read last year because I had never tracked my reading super religiously or anything. So I just did my Goodreads goal of 23 reads in 2023 with this cute little purple shelfie, but I grew out of this super quick. The next page is one of the spreads that I carried on to my 2024 journal, which I will have linked down below and on the screen here. And that is my Zodiac favorites. This is the same idea as people's monthly favorites, but to be extra, I do it by Zodiac season. There are some great books here, and it really does encapsulate my reading for the year. Fireborne, the Aurelian cycle, was definitely my top reads of last year. Moving on to some of my trackers. This is set up with my yearly TBR, some anticipated releases, and my series tracker. I didn't really use my yearly TBR very much. Anticipated releases, I didn't look at that much. And then my series tracker, I would put series on there before I even started them or really wanted to start them, and they lived and died on this page, as you can see. Moving on are my pages for Book Roast's Magical Readathon. I just have a few little Dutch doors in here with my character sheet and my order, my guild, and then my class and a little fan art I did of my character through an online character creator. And then I also did the Year of Adventure in tandem with the Magical Readathon, so this page just has my filled out yearly adventure and the books that I read for each of those months. And then the first monthly that I did in this journal was February because I didn't start it until February when I had COVID, actually. So that is why we start with this very cute pink February cover. And you can see when I started tracking my reading because it is blank until mid-February. And I was really trying to make this system with the little Dutch door work, but I do end up abandoning it later on in the year because it just wasn't really working for me. I struggle with TBRs. I'm a total mood reader, so I wouldn't even fill out my TBR until I started reading books. So it just wasn't very functional. But anyway, I had a little TBR and then my book spread. And then that flipped over to some habit trackers and my favorite quotes of the month. Again, the habit trackers didn't really work for me. I never remembered to track my games or YouTube or anything, so it didn't work for me. I ended up abandoning it, which is fine. Like I said, this was a total learning experience to find out what works for me. So then moving on, here are my first book reviews. I just put a couple sentences down for every single book, no matter what rating it is, just so I have something that captures my thoughts on everything I read. And then I do more in-depth spreads for books that I really have a lot to say, or I really loved, or I really connected with the characters. So in February, I read through the Folk of the Air series, and then I started Caraval and Shadow and Bone. And I really liked all of these books, so it was a great first month to really try out this whole journaling system. Now, the first spread I made was for the Folk of the Air trilogy, and it's not my most elaborate spread by any means, but again, a growing experience to find my style. And then I also made a one-page spread for Caraval. And then I ended every month with some monthly memories and a little wrap-up with my books read, pages read, average rating, and favorite book of the month. So then we moved on to March. And the stickers for my monthly pages I got all off of Redbubble. I will have some of those shops linked down below. So March, as you can see, was a really good month for me. I actually ended up reading 10 books. Most of them I liked quite a bit, some not so much. Again, I have this Dutch store that I was really trying to make work. I thought it was cute. Which it is cute, it just wasn't very functional for me, but I was trying really hard to make it work. And then for my reviews, I finished Shadow and Bone, I finished the Caraval trilogy, I read The Stolen Heir, and I read Legends and Lattes, and I liked all of those. And I also read Six of Crows, which I, of course, loved, just like everybody. And here's where you start to see my more scrapbooky influence of my journaling pages. And this I develop on throughout the whole journal, but it really starts in March. So for The Stolen Heir, I really loved this one, and I'm excited to read the second book this year once it comes out. And Shadow and Bone, I love that series so much, so I was excited to have a chance to journal about it. Same with Six of Crows. I love how this one turned out with the keys and the fan art and everything. And then I did a one-page spread for Legends and Lattes, which I really enjoyed. I loved the sapphic romance storyline, the found family kind of vibe, the cozy setting, the D&D vibes, all of that. And again, I have some monthly memories and my monthly wrap-up. Moving on, April is the spring equinox, or first semester of the magical readathon. So I put in my syllabus for the semester and then made these little bookshelves for each of the book picks that I read for my prompts. And then I went back to 2022 to do some of the side quests that I never got a chance to do, and I just put those here in these little Dutch stores. And then we're on to the April monthly. I love this paper, I love this sticker, I love the whole vibe. And again, a good reading month. I love how the paper and my markers really matched this month. It's very, very satisfying to look at. And you can see I really started to fall off with the habit trackers here. And I was trying to figure out what to do instead, but it still took me a few months to figure it out. Moving on to the monthly book reviews, I really love this little collage that I did. I read a lot of good books this month. I finished Six of Crows, I started the Atlas, and definitely liked this one more than the second book. I haven't read the third book yet, but I plan to very soon. I started Once Upon a Broken Heart because I had just finished Caraval and really fell in love with Once Upon a Broken Heart and its kookiness. Here's another collage, and then I did a one-page spread for the Atlas 6. I really love how this one looks with the paper and the stamps and the fan art and the quote and everything. I really, really like this one. Then we're fully pink here for Once Upon a Broken Heart. I had a few stickers from Caraval left over with the fates, and then of course these beautiful ones of Evangeline and Jax. And Crooked Kingdom, I love this spread. I have my babies here. So I love this one. I love how it looks and just makes me very happy but emotional to look at. And then I did a one-page spread for Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries just to get some thoughts down because I thought that was such a unique book and I really liked it. And then I just have my monthly memories and my monthly wrap-up once again. Moving on to May, I absolutely love the pinks and golds that I used this month. I love this mermaid lady, and overall I had such a good reading month. This was also my birthday month, which makes it even better, you know? But I read so many good books this month. I think every single one was a banger, if I remember correctly. And you can see I just didn't even attempt to do the bottom 2 habit trackers here because they just were not working for me. So then moving on to my monthly book reviews. Again, this was such a good month. I found a favorite series of all time in Fireborne and the Aurelian cycle and just really, really fell in love. I also continued Once Upon a Broken Heart. I read Fourth Wing. I had pre-ordered it even before it became the phenomenon, so I had a first edition that arrived and then I read it that day. I read ACOTAR. I read one of my favorite series of all times. Well, I started a reread of one of my favorite series of all times in A Song of Ice and Fire. And I finished the Aurelian cycle. I finished it, I think, within a week and was just obsessed immediately. So I did this cute pink one-pager for the Ballad of Never After, again with adorable fan art. And then I wasn't significantly moved by ACOTAR in any way, but I had these adorable stickers, so I still made a spread for it. And of course, Fourth Wing, I ate that up for sure and loved the dragons, so I had to make a spread for that one as well. And like I said, one of my favorite book series of all time, A Song of Ice and Fire, I made this sweet little book spread. I had a lot more to say, but I knew I would go crazy. And speaking of going crazy, Fireborne, I did a separate spread for all 3 of the books, and I had so much more I could have said. So this was an exercise in restraint to keep it to these pages. I love how these turn out with the different colors and all of the dragons on these pages. I just absolutely loved this series, and I'm so glad to have my initial impressions all captured here in the journal, and I'm so excited to reread it this year. I just absolutely loved it. So yes, May rocked. Here are my monthly memories and my little wrap up. And then coming off of such a fantastic reading month, I went into June and I struggled a little bit. I still read 2 books that I really, really loved. A Clash of Kings is one of my favorite books of all time, and then Half a Soul ended up being very delightful. I really loved that one. I don't love the paper that I chose for this month. I think it's just kind of boring, so I also don't love this spread for that reason, but overall, I still read an 1,100-page book, so I can't say it was a bad reading month. And instead of doing book spreads, I just wrote a little bit more about A Clash of Kings and then did my monthly memories and wrap-up. Now moving into July, I absolutely love this sticker and this paper. It's so airy, and I just love it. And I got back into the swing of things. I read a lot and a lot of different things for me. And this is the last month that I did the little Dutch door, so say goodbye to this little habit tracker. And moving on to the book reviews, I read A Deadly Education. I read ACOTAR, didn't love it. I read Red Rising, and I did enjoy that quite a bit. As well as Kings of the Wilde was a standout this month. So good, such a great bro D&D type book. And then I just did a one-pager for Red Rising, as well as the Scholomance, and I still need to read the third book in this trilogy, which I do hope to get to pretty soon. And again, I just have my monthly wrap-up and my monthly memories. And moving on, August is the second semester or fall equinox for the Magical Readathon, so I have another set of my Dutch doors with the syllabus and my bookshelves, and then I also had to do the little dragon rider license thing, so of course I have that here as well. And August is another one where I just love the theme, the colors, all of it so much. And this page just looks so good. I love it. I don't have the Dutch door anymore, but it still looks so cute. I love how the colors look with the paper and the hollow of the shiny silver. I just love it. And then moving on to my book reviews, I was all over the place this month. I read the first Earthsea book, I read the Bone Shard Daughter, I read the second An Ember in the Ashes book and really liked it. I read Golden Sun, which I liked a lot more than Red Rising, and I liked Red Rising, so I really liked Golden Sun. And I also finished the Red Rising initial trilogy with Morningstar. I made this really cute one-pager for A Torch Against the Night. I love how this one looks. And I made this one-pager for both Golden Sun and Morningstar. And then I had my monthly wrap-up and monthly memories. And then September, we get into me using all of my fall and Halloween stationery. You will see I have a lot. September was an okay reading month. I was out of town for work this month, so I didn't have much time to read. But I did end up reading One for My Enemy, which was one of my favorite books, probably my favorite standalone of last year. So good, especially if you love Shakespeare-influenced stuff. I just absolutely loved it. And we have some Halloween vibes back here with my monthly memories and wrap-up. And speaking of Halloween, we go full jack-o'-lantern in October. So in October, I went on vacation to Salem, and I actually didn't really read much during my vacation, so that is why this whole part is blank. I also don't love how all these yellows look. I don't know why I didn't choose oranges, but ignore. Moving on to my book reviews. I had a lot of 2-star books this month, unfortunately, but I absolutely loved Godkiller, and I got an arc of the second book, Sunbringer, so I'm super excited to read that very soon. And then I also read If We Were Villains, which I just absolutely loved. Again, if you like Shakespeare, a must read. And of course, A Curse for True Love now. I had a lot of thoughts about A Curse for True Love. I found it to be pretty disappointing. While I still enjoyed it and I just love the characters, I just had a lot to say, so that is why I got the 2-page spread this month. And then I gave Godkiller a 1-pager because I really loved those characters and their relationships. And then once again, I have my monthly memories and my October wrap-up. And then moving on to November, we are still totally Halloween vibes over here. Except, why did I do these crazy yellows? I don't know why. Again, just ignore it, it's fine. But I read a lot in November, that's for sure. I absolutely loved Curse of the Wolf King. It was just so cute and perfect for me. And I also really enjoyed Daughter of No Worlds. And then I did a one-pager for Iron Flame. And then this is my spread for Curse of the Wolf King, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And this art print is actually the cover art of the hardcover book. Just the regular standard edition hardcover of this book has this printed on the hardcover, which is so cool, and all of her books are like that, which I just wanted to point out because I just think it's so cool for an indie author to do that. And then, like I said, I really loved Daughter of No Worlds, and I had so many thoughts about it, as you can see, but it just really worked for me. And then I also read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes before seeing the new movie, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought the movie was pretty good too. It seemed pretty faithful to the book. And then, of course, I have my November wrap-up and memories. And then we move on to December, which was a very weird month for me for reading. I didn't read like the first half of December, and then the rest of December I just spent reading rom-coms, which you saw everything else I read last year. None of them were rom-coms until December, but I was just in the Christmassy spirit, kind of the Hallmark movie energy is what I was wanting, so I kind of went overboard, I'm not gonna lie. I do love how the colors and the papers and everything here looks. I just think it looks so nice and Christmassy and calming. So you'll see I got all of my Allie Hazelwood holds in at the library like the same week. And some I enjoyed more than others, but reading them back to back was definitely not the best way to do it because all of her character archetypes are basically the same, which if you like that archetype is really good for you. But if you're reading that same story like 5 times in a row, it gets a bit old and stale, but yeah. And then just more like rom-coms and contemporaries. Some I liked more than others, some were Christmas, some weren't. I felt like I had flown too close to the contemporary rom-com sun, and I needed some not that. So I reread Bunny, which I loved that book, and it's the opposite of rom-com. And then I also finished Bloody Rose, which was the second book in the Band series after Kings of the Wilde. And of course, I finished my year with December memories and my monthly wrap-up. And I just made a little spread with some of my stats for 2023, my books read, pages read, my averages for ratings and page length, and then some of my top genres and top authors. And then I also went into Storygraph and pulled out my moods, pace, and page count graphs, just to have a little recap of my entire year at a glance. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. This has been fun, flipping through this chunky journal that I spent so much time and heart and effort on, and I've learned so much. So if you want to check out my 2024 reading journal, I will have that linked down below. But if you like this one, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. And if you'd like to see more from me, be sure to hit subscribe. I hope that you and yours are staying safe, happy, and healthy, and I will see you again next time. Thanks again. Bye-bye.